Hey, what's up you beautiful feckers, how you all doing? So according to the information we got on the last dev stream, Melee 3.0 is very nearly finished or is right around the corner. So I thought now would be a good time to go over that information and what we know so far, basically just refresh your minds a little bit. Now this news means that we are about to see some pretty big feckin' changes to what is without a doubt the most powerful weapon class in the game. Melee is our strongest category, and one of the main aspects of the game that new players really enjoy, the fluid movement from gunplay to swordplay. But Digital Extremes want to simplify the mechanics of that melee down a little bit. Now, we've been told that all going well, we might actually get to see this in action on the next dev stream, which is either this week or next. I can't remember because my head's all over the place after the vacation. So make sure and tune into that dev stream once it gets announced. Now, what can we expect with Melee 3.0, or what do we know about it so far? Now, we've already had a slight change to Melee and how it doesn't go through walls or objects anymore, which has affected that spin to win playstyle a little bit, but there is a lot more still to come. One guaranteed change is that every melee weapon will be getting a stat and mastery rank change, like what we've already gotten with primary weapons and secondary weapons, and of course beam weapons as well. So we can expect buffs and nerfs because of these stat changes to some of our favourite melee weapons. Some of our weaker weapons could soon become powerhouse weapons and vice versa. So maybe this will freshen up the melee weapon list just a little bit. We will soon be able to dual wield any single-handed melee weapon and your sidearm of choice, and not just the thrown melee like you can right now with the glaive. So any sword or dagger and of course your gun of choice. I'd imagine that the Zacti and condition overload with your one-handed sword could become a go-to setup. Now Melee 3.0 apparently will focus heavily on heavy attacks and directional slam attacks as well to make them a lot more fun for us to use. So this could be a Jatka tag time to shine, heavy slam attacks and explosions all around, particle nightmare and blow some poor fucker's PC up. Sorry Billy, you couldn't handle all of those particles. Host migration is now in progress, so it could become a thing. Channeling for the most part is being removed from Warframe, so that means that your default channeling keybind, whatever it is on your controller or on your mouse, will now become a heavy melee attack. But some small parts of what channeling used to be will then be added to the blocking mechanic in game, according to Scott. Now we don't know what this exactly entails, and we'll get a better idea of it once we actually get to see a little bit more in-depth combat on whatever dev stream they decide to show that off on. But the big question in the community right now is, how will this change to channeling affect mods like Lifestrike especially? How is it now going to work? If channeling is no longer in the game, then how will we be able to avail of mods that are affected by that channeling? Will Lifestrike soon be attached to what the heavy attacks are? Is that how you're going to actually get healed? Only time will tell. It also brings us to those heavy attacks, and the biggest change we've been told about with Melee 3.0, if it's still going to be a thing, because maybe they've changed it a little bit since they last spoke about it. Now your combo counter will now be used as a resource pool that boosts only those charged attacks, and a charge attack once used will then reset your combo counter back down to 0. Normal melee attacks will build your combo counter a lot faster than what they do right now, but those normal melee attacks will not gain the benefit of that damage multiplier to actually boost your normal attacks up. It will only boost the damage of those charged attacks. So that's going to suck big time. And that change alone is going to take a lot of getting used to. And there are, of course, again, a lot of questions about how it will affect the normal melee style that we have right now. Now, my initial response to this when I read it was, holy shit, that sounds like a huge nerf to our melee weapons. But again, we haven't seen it fully in action yet, so it may not be. Maybe those heavy attacks and that combo counter will combine into one fluid attack style and be just as powerful as it is right now, with maybe the exception of the spin to win playstyle, because this change could be the final nail in that playstyle's coffin. Normal spin to win attacks wouldn't scale due to that combo counter not working or not boosting your normal attack's damage. So it means once you're just spinning around, you're always going to be doing the same damage each time, and as enemies scale, their armor scales, your damage won't, unless maybe you're going to be able to incorporate those heavy attacks into the spin style. Again, we don't exactly know. Now, a lot of our builds will need changing or tweaking if this combo counter change is getting added. Blood Rush, Weeping Wounds, Body Count, the whole Gladiator mod set as well are all going to be affected by that combo change, and there are a lot of mods that make our melee builds as powerful as they are right now that will be affected. And I'm sure Digital Extremes knows this and will hopefully have tweaked all of those mods, especially the set ones as well, to still make them viable with our current builds. But to compensate for that loss in damage from the combo multiplier, which are normal melee attacks, you're going to see your damage base boosted significantly on melee weapons. So we got to wait and see again exactly how all of this plays out, and hopefully on the next dev stream, like they said, they will be able to show it off and clarify a lot of these questions within the community. Now make sure and let me know in the comment section below what you're most skeptical about, whether you think this is going to be a huge nerf or whether you're actually hopeful that it's going to change things and still keep it your melee as powerful as it is right now. Now, another thing to take into consideration with these combo counter changes is that certain Warframes and their abilities scale off your combo counter, and if this is one of your favourite Warframes, then it may be greatly affected. You might be fine building your combo counter up with your normal melee attacks, but as soon as you choose to use a heavy attack, that's it, reset back down to 0, and your Warframe's abilities will be greatly reduced in damage. So I guess maybe you're going to have to try and hold back and not actually use any of those heavy attacks if you're using something like a one punch Atlas. Now Ash and his Bladestorm, Atlas like I said one punch and his Landslide, Wukong's Primal Fury, Valkyr's Hysteria, and of course Korra's Whipclaw all scale off that combo counter. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do to those Warframes and if they get a damage increase as well to compensate for that combo change or that combo loss once you use a heavy attack. Now the directional slam attack did look pretty fun in what they showed off way back on dev stream 111, which is where we got all of this information from, and the ragdoll as well from charge attacks looked kind of interesting, but again ragdoll can be a pain in the arse because it just slows things down and you want to kill enemies as fast as possible, especially if you're running a melee only setup. Now I didn't think we needed this much of an overhaul to our melee system. To me it wasn't really complicated, it was easy to use, but I have played it for quite a while, so maybe for new players it was quite hard to wrap their heads around the melee system in game. Now channeling, I think a lot of us will agree, definitely needed to be changed or even removed. No one really builds their weapons with channeling in mind, with the exception of having Lifestrike on for that quick heal, but it will be very interesting to see how mods like Lifestrike will now work with this new combo counter system. Also, the removal of our normal melee attacks scalability seems a little bit on the extreme, but then again they have said they're going to increase the damage of normal melee attacks to compensate for that loss, so maybe all will be fine. Now, I've no doubt that the Warframe community will probably have a shit fit, or a section of it will anyway, once these Melee 3.0 changes actually get added. Pretty much like every other reworked system in the past, there was a lot of angry forum posts and so on. But then again, we haven't seen Melee 3.0 fully in action yet, so maybe hold off your judgment until you do, then give as much feedback as you deem necessary. Just make it constructive, or else your feedback will just get plain ignored. Now, honestly, just thinking about how these changes could affect our melee meta weapons, like our go-to melee weapons, in a month's time we could all have a whole new set of go-to melee weapons that we never even considered touching before. Machete or Machete Rate could be the best melee weapon in the game. Slim fucking chance, I know, but stranger things have happened. And if you've modded your go-to melee weapon for a Condition Overload Blood Rush combo, then how is it going to scale now? Will it be as effective at higher levels? I know, fun times ahead when you think about it all. We could see a return to using heavy attacks in order to deal large chunks of damage to try and wipe out heavy units in later game. Two-handed weapons could once again become the go-to weapons if they deal higher numbers with those charge attacks. Maybe a return of the Galatine days of old, who knows? So the changes we know about so far with Melee 3.0 have me both excited and nervous at the same time, like every other major system change in Warframe over the years. So I'm going to try my best to stay as skeptical, I guess, as possible, but not freak out, see how it all plays out and watch it on the next dev stream if they get to show it off. But let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts on the upcoming changes are, whether you're worried or not, how you think it will play out. Do me a huge favour, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, or don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.